Hey guys, this is Filter Starcraft and welcome back for episode number 17 of my Terran Bronze to Master series. This particular episode is going to be focused entirely on replays and how to analyze your own replays properly so that you get better as a player a lot faster. I see a lot of mistakes when people post their own replays on different websites asking for some help, and sometimes they'll get it right, sometimes they just won't. They won't understand that the composition that you have is really not the reason you lost the game. The reason you lost the game is because you only had 15 SCVs. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to make sure that our macro stays on par and that we're playing as well as we possibly can in every single game, and we're going to kind of branch out from there. Alright, so there's really three things you want to focus on when you are checking your replay. The three things you want to look for are, number one, your macro. Did you constantly make SCVs? Was there a point where you skipped them because you were under pressure? If so, that's probably a big reason why you lost. You really want to hammer out those macro mistakes. Did you forget to take a fourth in time? Should you have taken a fifth when you had the ability? Did you have enough map control to secure that fourth? Did you have enough map control to secure that fifth? That's the stuff you really want to look for when you're checking for macro mistakes. Check your basics. Did you get the 50 SCVs at 10 minutes? That's all stuff you want to look for first, just to kind of clear that up. Because at the end of the day, if you blew it and your build was just bad and you messed up a bunch of things, hey, that's cool. You can just work on that for the next game. But the rest of the stuff really doesn't matter after that point. If you messed up your macro in the early mid-game, then that's the reason you lost. There's no reason to look at anything else. Everything else in that game is really not of any value because you don't know how it would have turned out if your macro was on par. So the second thing to look for is whatever you're working on in that specific game. When you go in to play a batch of 10, 11, 12 games and you want to have some fun, it's important that you have something to work on, something you're working towards. If you're playing a Zerg, that might be your creep spread. Maybe you really want to get your creep spread better. Check that game. If your creep spread was awesome and you still lost, hey, whatever, that's a win in one respect, right? The other thing is, as a Terran player, maybe you wanted to add tanks in your composition by a certain timing and you just completely butchered that. The tanks never showed up. You lost the game from that, whatever, it doesn't matter. You messed up what you were trying to work on, so for the next game, analyze it, figure out where that mistake happened, and move on from there. The third thing you want to look for, this is always the last thing, control and engagements. Did you butcher the control of something? Was it clearly a mistake in your micro that cost you the game? If your macro was off, and that's the reason you lost, and you go to check for control and engagements, sometimes it's just not your fault. If you get overrun by a big Protoss ball and you're like, oh, there's nothing I could do, you throw your hands up in the air, you spike your mouse, whatever you do, check your macro, see if that was the problem, because a lot of times that's where the problem roots. So if you find you can't figure out why you lost the engagement, it's probably your macro. However, there are going to be situations where you have a move command going and you just completely butcher the fight so badly it's not even funny. You have a big lead and you blow it in that one engagement. Cool. Just double check that. If you blow it in an engagement, you're just going to get better by playing games. So maybe next time take a look and go, well, my ghosts, they were just too far forward. That's my mistake. I'll fix that for the next game. I'll try to keep them closer to my main army. Hey, cool. No problem. Really quick and easy. So those are the three things you want to work on for the game. Your macro, whatever your specific task you're working on, and then control engagements. That's all you're looking for when you look for replays. Now, if you're running a big streak of games and you played 10 or 11 games in a row and you're feeling really good, then you get killed off by some sort of cheese or some sort of garbage and you just didn't see it coming, that's when you go into what's called kind of crisis replay management. So when you lose a game and you go, there's nothing I could do, that was garbage, blah blah blah, I hate that race, the first thing you do is go check that replay. Make sure your own macro was on point. If your own macro was screwed up, hey cool, you know why you lost, it's not a big deal, move on. The next thing you want to do is analyze the garbage that killed you. What do I mean by analyzing the garbage that killed you? A lot of times I played a game and I've lost to a Protoss and I've been like, man, that guy 4-gated me, that's garbage, you don't do that anymore, that's not part of the metagame. I go watch the replay and he did like a Nexus first into 3 gateways and he didn't saturate his Nexus at his natural, but that's because his 3-gate pressure that was only designed to put me in a little bit of duress kills me off. Right? So I watch that game and I go, okay, I need to scout better. I needed to add an extra bunker. It's not a race thing. It was my mistakes that cost me that game. It's very clear, very obvious, right? So that's kind of how you want to play the game out. Just analyze the junk. If you get killed by something that feels impossible to stop and it was garbage and you're not happy about it, figure out exactly how he pulled that crap on you, and then all of a sudden you're going to feel a lot better because you're going to go, oh, okay, I could have easily done this to hold it. I could have easily done this, no problem. Oh, I didn't have control of my watchtower. I didn't see his 20 Zerglings sitting there, so I didn't know he was coming for the Baneling bust. It's really important that you analyze that garbage that killed you, so you can kind of get rid of that nerd rage, get it out of your system, move on to the next game, then you'll be in great shape. There should never be a situation where you go, I lost that and there's nothing I could do. It does not exist in Starcraft 2 unless you're playing at the highest of high levels, where you pick a bad build order, the other guy beats you with it. Fortunately for us, none of us are playing on the professional circuit, right? So there's always stuff we can do to fix whatever causes us to lose the game. Just get rid of that garbage. Remember, it does not matter. Alright, so we're going to look at a bunch of games here, and I'm just going to kind of follow the rules that I usually follow, and just check to see how the game went. This particular game is a Terran versus Zerg, and let's take a look here. So first thing I want to do is see how my APM was, because it's something that's fun and I enjoy doing. Let's see if they changed how the APM tabs work. Yeah, they did. They got it right now, so let's take a look here. So there's really nothing to see at this stage of the game. I do my usual 1 barracks expand. Really nothing going on. I don't need to check any of this stuff. It does not matter to me. Maybe I might check for his gas timings and his drones and stuff like that. A lot of times I will just put the game on my own vision, so just to see what's going on, but we'll throw it back to everyone. Alright. Sorry if the replay is a little bit choppy too. But now I'm going to throw it up on the units tab. Let's check units lost. Nothing. And I'm just fast forwarding to 10 minutes because I want to see what my macro is like. Plain and simple. I want to see what I had at 10 minutes and if it was acceptable. Pretty straightforward. Alright, so we hit 10 minutes. We have 48 SCVs on the map. I've had 0 killed. So I know for a fact that my SCVs were behind. Overall though, my food's looking pretty healthy at 96. I don't like my Hellion number. I think my Hellion number is a little bit low at 4. But 2 medevacs, 2 marauders, 16 marines, 4 Hellions. Not bad. Because I'm doing this Hellion play, I should not have any upgrades, and I don't, so I got nothing like that up yet. Stim and Combat Shield are both finished though, so that's looking pretty good. Well, that's Stim's just a little bit away, but I'll have that shortly, which is nice. You know, I got a pretty decent sized army. I walled in, everything looks good. If I go look at my opponent here, you see he's taking his lair on his natural hatchery. He's still respecting me. He's got 57 drones, and he's made quite a few lings because he doesn't know what I'm doing, which is nice. The other thing that's nice is I have control over this watchtower. So overall, pretty happy with that. So let's play this one out and see how it goes. Check some of the engagements. You see I'm using my Hellions just to scout around a little bit. Oh, and I scanned to clear creep, but unfortunately there's a lot of banelings there, so I'm not clearing any creep. But I have a pretty good idea of his composition. I know he made a lot of banelings, so I'm going to have to be careful. Now, while this was going on, I did a little bit of a drop in his back. So I have my Hellions out here, drew his army, and I sent out my dropships. This is a very risky play, however, because I have this map control here, I know I'm most likely I'm not going to face a sudden attack. I do have vision of this thanks to this command center, but what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to put pressure on my opponent while at the same time taking my third base. So very simple, very straightforward, not a whole lot to it. I'm still macroing in the background if I check production. I'm actually missing SCVs right now. That's not good. It's not what I want, ideally. So, first thing I do when I land, target a spawning pool. Honestly, Zerg at this point, they usually have so many larvae and minerals banked that going in and cutting down a bunch of drones is really not going to do anything. I want to try to take out his tech. So, I take that out, see the lings coming in. Probably could have engaged them, but wasn't too worried about it. Didn't want to risk it. Pick up with my 2 medevacs, get out of there. Overall, pretty happy with that. You know, his Spire just went down now because he knows I'm dropping, so I'm playing bio. Kind of a smart play. Infestation Pit's about to pop out. We'll see if he grabs his upgrade. You know, he doesn't have the money for pathogen glands because he spent so much on banelings, which is cool. So, again, I'm just rallying. My army is meeting up, so the guys from the dropships are coming down. Again, he has no real vision of this. While I'm doing this, I'm going to try to land my third. So you can see I'm overall pretty happy with my money. You can see his money is not spent. I put him under a little bit of stress. I wasn't able to spend his money, so overall pretty happy. You know, next thing I want to take, overall I'm pretty happy with my macro. deny his 4th base, cut that off from him. I do periodically check up here to make sure he gets nothing up there. And do I doom drop him? Probably not, eh? I don't think I do in this game. So you can see my upgrades are all coming along here. This base is a planetary, but while my army's out and active and pushing out, there's not much you can do because I'm pushing in here. I believe he goes straight for mutas in this game, so again, his spawning pool, he forgot about it, so looks like he didn't realize that I killed it. Good luck for me, I guess. So here, all I do, I see the banelings, so I pull back a little bit because I don't want to fight on creep. I pull all my marauders forward, and the reason for that is I can tank baneling hits, right? So he comes for a big surround. I'm like, oh, this is bad, this is bad. Kind of stuttering my way back up to the ramp here because I know I've got a nice choke. I'm mostly marauders down there, so him slamming all his banelings in is gonna really hurt him. He probably would have finished my army off if he had committed, but he doesn't. And again, you can see my money way lower than him. I'm pretty happy with that. I have this base secured. I've got extra barracks going up. Everything's looking good. SCV count's not bad. It could be better, but overall, pretty happy with that. Again, just I'm rallying forward, trying to get as many units together as I can. He comes in with some mutalisks. I deal with this very badly, but that's okay. And in fact, if he was a better player, he probably would have won the game, but if I was a better player, then I would have won the game. So this particular situation, I believe I actually do lose this command center because I'm pretty stupid, but I had another that I was building for 4th base. So I thought he would go infester. He didn't. He went for the spire to try to shut down the drops. His mutalisks got shut down. Doesn't really matter. You can see he's starting to take a food lead in me, but I should be working on 2-2 here. Let's double check. Yeah, so 2-2 is a little bit late. Getting infantry or ground weapons for my tanks and Hellions, and I will just eventually push in and kill him here. So overall, if I look at the game, I go, well, I could have dealt with the mutalisk a little bit better, but overall, I'm pretty happy with the game. I group up on this ramp. This is a mistake to go up here. I actually lose way more of my army than I should have, but I leave the game. So apparently this is a game I lost. I don't know why I left the game. Must have been frustrated. Oh well. I honestly have no idea why I left that game. Kind of funny. Thought I was playing better than I was, but he was ahead of me in upgrades and all that stuff. So, kind of funny. So, and we got a TvT here. That's actually really funny because I was playing well in that game. If I were to analyze why I lost, real simple. I went up that ramp when I shouldn't have. I was not taking a 4th base in time. Overall, my macro, my upgrades were behind. So lots of things to fix for that particular game. Pretty simple and straightforward. And this is just me and the other gentleman talking about how we never play TvT anymore. You can see his little scout pattern there. And in this particular game, I'm going to do essentially a 1-1-1 expand, which I do a lot. I quite enjoy it. So just open up with a quick fast Banshee and a couple of Hellions. The Hellions give me the map control I want. So, well, that's fun to check APM. And I go up and I see a bunker. So from the bunker, it's usually assumed that it's going to be a Cloak Banshee play or a Banshee play. From my perspective, I'm not very worried about it because my build is built in with Banshee defense. What do I mean by it's built in with Banshee defense? Simple, I get Vikings out of my starport. Right, that's the entire purpose behind it. So Vikings out of here, get a fast stim. Banshees aren't going to do anything, right? The reactor is for the starport. Now, I get my own Banshee as well. So the cool thing is, he goes for a 1-base Banshee expand. Here's what's crazy. I did the exact same thing but without cloak. And my expansion's already down. It should be an orbital fairly soon. My Banshee does not have cloak, but it is at his base killing stuff when his Banshee's flying across the map. Think about that. So, very, very anti-Banshee build that I use. Not the best control in the world off me from this guy here. But I don't want to push in and do anything that way because I don't know what could be in his base. If I had to push in, there's some Marines probably could have done some damage to. But right now I'm content killing depots and the SCBs that are around. So, at the same time, he's killing my guys in my base. You can see workers killed is starting to even out. This is a bad scan. I do not get the Banshee, but I believe I follow it. Nope, looks like I don't. It's a mistake on my part here. And see, poke in with my Hellions, see the expansion, so I know he's expanded. Very cool. At this point in the game, I feel pretty good because I've held off. His Banshees did a little bit of damage, and you'll see that he's killed 10 workers. I've only killed 7, but I only used 1 Banshee. He uses 2 on me, so overall I feel pretty good about myself. However, I'd be on this build. I'm typically at 45, 46 SCVs. I'm only at 29. Yes, 10 have died, and I'm actually losing more because I don't control very well. So overall, my macro not very good. Definitely way past, not as good as it should be. As well as I only have 12 Marines right now. I should be looking to have my drop ships already in this base dropping with the full 16 Marines. So pretty simple and straightforward. I know my macro in this game is not particularly good. I actually don't handle the Banshees very well. There's another one in the main killing some more workers. So he ends up killing 21 workers. So clearly my Banshee defense, despite having Vikings, and I only have 1 for some reason, I should have 2. So it looks like I skipped 1, which is a mistake. My Banshee defense, very poor. However, because he was committing so heavily to Banshees, he was consistently making them until he switched this over to make a reactor. I felt pretty comfortable that I'd be able to go in and just kill him with my drop. Because I didn't think he'd have a lot behind it, and that's exactly what happens. So I'm able to get my Marines into his base with 2 medevacs. You know, he does a fair amount. I do a fair amount of damage with my drop. I believe I get the tank too. Do I? Nope. Looks like his tanks. Looks like his tank's gonna be okay here. Probably should have focused out some SCVs, but that's alright. 2 medevacs get out. All of a sudden, I've killed 17 workers. Things are looking good. Now, here's the big difference. He's killed more workers of mine than I've killed of his, but I have a bigger SCV lead. And the only reason for that is I was a little bit better at making SCVs. So again, come in with another drop. Should have combat shield behind it. Well, I have tech. Yeah, there's combat shield. And my opponent says, "Good game, well played." So overall in that game, this particular build is very high stress for me in the style I played out in. If I had to pull 2 things away, if I were to start working on things for my next game, in the next Terran versus Terran games I play, I really need to focus on locking down and shutting out Banshees. With the build order I did, I should have taken literally no damage. Maybe lost 3 or 4 SCVs the entire game. I ended up losing 21. You know, with a simple fix to how I dealt with the Banshees, absolutely no problem. All of a sudden you can add in 15 SCVs to my count. I'm at 50. Still too low, but something I can work on for the next time I play this particular build out. Is just my Banshee defense wasn't very good. So, and you know, honestly, neither was my macro. So this is a build order that, at this point, I think I should really take to custom maps and just work on it a little bit and get it a little bit more crisp. It's still really effective, and I really enjoy it, but it could have been a lot better. Just even in the fact that I'm not, you know, I start my 3rd, but that probably could have gone up earlier and stuff like that. However, did win the game. It's important to reward yourself for winning the game, so I feel pretty good about how that one went out. And we're going to take a look at one more here. Condemned Ridge. This is a great replay. I actually analyzed this replay on my stream after I lost the game, so let's take a look at this one here. Obviously ruining it, I do lose the game, but this is a very good example. So in this particular game, I make a very bad decision, a dreadful decision that cost me the game, as well as I thought I was farther ahead than I really turns out that I was compared to my opponent. So let's go ahead and take a look at that here. So you can see I'm doing my usual 1-Rax expand. He sends, this is probe, his zealot gets there but doesn't do anything. No big deal. You can see I've already scouted up here to make sure there's nothing there on Condemned Ridge. I really don't like this map though, but it's what it is. So I know there's no proxy shenanigans or any garbage coming up from there, which is nice. I probably should guard this with a couple Marines to stop any probe go up there, but not a big deal. So I actually get really lucky on my scout in this game. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I scout everything, so we'll go back to the scout because I go in, I believe, about 6 minutes here. See, I have friendly colors on, so that's why I'm in green, he's in blue. But yeah, so I've got this worker. I always leave this SCV here because I like having it out there, just if I want to go scout. So left it at his 3rd base, I bring it in, I scout, I go, okay, I see the chrono on there. which means I know it's a blink, and I see the chrono plus 2 stalkers. Not going to be Dark Templar, it's going to be a blink stalker play. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a blink stalker all in or not at this point. So all I can do is prepare for it. And you're going to see immediately back at my base, I start throwing down, I believe I get a bunker up here as well. It's positioned rather poorly, but that's okay. So I get my bunker up there. Probably would have been better off up here, or even all the way out there, with some SCVs to repair it. I had a second bunker here, and I get some units in there. So now at this point I'm very acutely aware. You can see I've got depots around the outside to stop any kind of blink that I knew, so I can see it coming and I know it's ready to go. I'm happy with that reaction. What I'm not happy with is kind of how I fall apart in terms of production. So I use my factory to check to see where he's coming from. At this point I'll have my starport, and do I slam down an armory? I do. So I do slam down an armory. The other thing he tries to do is a warp prism, so I'll cover that as well. But I slam down my armory because I know my factory is going to die. Smart play whenever you know your factory is going to die is just make sure you have that building up. I don't even think I have an engineering bay at this point, honestly, so it's kind of funny, but I'd rather build that than build a factory and build it later on, right? So let's go back and take a look here. Now the warp prism, I believe, gets spotted by my... You know what? The only reason I know about the warp prism and why I have stuff over here is because of this map in these spawn locations. Very, very common to see a warp prism all income. Like, really common. It makes a lot of sense, right? Like, same reason you would drop across that. I wouldn't drop somebody who's going for blink stalkers necessarily, but it's a really good idea to drop somebody or use a warp prism play on a map like this because it's just such a short distance for it to travel. It makes a lot of sense. And it's very difficult to deal with a warp prism. So in my case, I'm aware of the idea that there's going to be blink stalkers and a warp prism. So my barracks spots, or my factory spots for sure, all these stalkers, cool, I'm good. I have some units in my bunkers at the front. Probably could use an extra bunker because he probably could have broken that if he tried. This warp prism comes in. It really doesn't do very much, but he does focus down most of my marines, which means the warp prism gets out scot-free, unfortunately. However, it really didn't do the damage he's looking to get out of it. I'm not making medevacs, not happy about that. Okay, so we hit 10 minutes. What does that mean? It means I completely ignore what he's doing, and I go ahead and just check to see what my macro was at. Now I do a 1 barracks expand. He's essentially already killed 7 of my SCVs because my SCV production has been so pitiful that I just don't have enough. The other thing is I'm also not taking the gas here. I don't even think I have an engineering bay because I was building that armory, so my upgrades are behind. I don't have a reactor for this because I immediately wanted to use my factory to scout, and the reason for that was I just want to see the blink stalkers coming. So that's okay. However, not mining enough gas. You can see I'm mineral heavy right now. I don't have enough production. I should have added extra barracks. This bunker is in a bad spot. So overall, my macro, not very good. Him having 40 probes, he's still trying to make probes, so he's already trying to transition into Colossus. We'll ignore that for now. He probably could have got to his 46 probes already and not been making them. So his all-in could have even been a little bit stronger, but that's okay. So I know my macro in this game is not good. Plays a big part in it, actually. So I should have had extra barracks already. There's no reason not to. I need the units. What am I going to do without it, right? And he starts going for this tech lab. At this point, I'm kind of engaging, trying to save it, not doing anything too wholehearted. I get my 2 medevacs. Now I'm okay. I got my 2 medevacs. I don't have... Yeah, there's stim pack. I have my 2 medevacs. I get stim finished. I didn't make it out of this one. I knew he was going for the blink stalker all in. That's why I don't have enough reactors. Should have had reactors anyway, because being that heavy on marauders is never good. But repair that up. Again, no production. What's going on here? You can see I'm still making SCVs, but I'm behind where I should be. There's no third base coming when it should. My opponent is still making probes because he's taking a third base. Now, he cut probes to get this out. So in a perfect world, it wouldn't have actually been that strong. The probes would have been more on time, but that's okay. That's cool. We can work with that. Pro S players can also cut probes at any time they really want, right? And still be okay. Or as a Terran player, you can't just chrono boost and catch up. You have to constantly make your workers. So, Stim, probably not the best decision. Medevac's way too far forward. He possibly could have killed them all. I kill off the warp prism. The reason I wanted to get rid of the warp prism is so he doesn't have high ground vision. Now, he has a robotics bay, or a robotics facility, sorry, so you can quickly pump out an observer and get high vision anyway. which I believe he does. Again, these bunkers, I've had to take my units out just to group them all up. Still making medevacs. My money is low, but overall, production's not that good. You can see now, all of a sudden I'm slamming down my extra barracks. I've got my 2 engineering base. I've got my 3rd command center going up. And I go out to pressure him a little bit, which actually turns out to be a very bad decision. Because I held off his attack, and to this point, I believe... So I don't know about his 3rd base, so I don't know what could be there or what's coming. I should have scanned either his main or his 3rd just to see what was going on, to know if attacking was a good idea or not. Very simple. What I should have done is just try to secure my own 3rd base. I could have had my army down here very, very easily. You can see some observers here. I could have had my army out here, no problem. What's it going to do? Flank all the way around? There's really not, much to do with blink stalkers after this initial point if I had just kept my army down here, right? And then I could have secured my 3rd base, gathered some more information, made the correct decision of whether I should have attacked or not. So the first thing is my macro, not very good. The way I held off the all-in attack, not bad. I'm okay with that. My macro, not good. And then pushing out, this was stupid. All he does is he doesn't care about his stalkers anymore. They're useless to him. Focus fires every single one of my medevacs. So now I'm in a really bad position. I believe he's still 0-0. But I don't have any medevacs, and that's brutal. Like, what am I going to do? Now, he blinks into my main because my army was not positioned properly. I did not defend against this observer well. And when he does that, I decide I'm going to counterattack and win the game. Because I'm like, oh, he did a blink stalker all in, Protoss, blah, blah, blah. I can catch him before he can warp in enough stuff. My army can kill anything he has at his home. No problem. That was 2 base blink stalker all in, blah, blah, blah. Well, it wasn't. He's on 3 base. So I figure between my bunkers and units in bunkers, I can hold this. Probably true, right? But I get over to his base and I'm like, alright, sweet, yeah, he's just adding gateways, unpower them, see the Colossus, and I leave the game because I'm dead. Doing that, if I had medevacs, I might have been able to kill him. It might have been a smarter decision. Without the medevacs, it's not. I possibly could have held these stalkers. But it's pretty clear I just made a bad decision. I should not have attacked without my medevacs. That was stupid. So, as soon as I look at the game, I look at this Protoss player and I say, you know what? His build was well thought out, well planned, it worked really well. He skipped his upgrades almost completely in order to get the big blink stalker number and make his Colossus transition. When you're making a Colossus transition, the upgrades are not that important, but he does decide to get them since he's on 3 base at that point. His entire purpose was, those blink stalkers are going to open up, put the Terran player under pressure, I'm going to take a 3rd base behind them, transition into Colossus, and kill him. He focused on taking down the key units for me. My medevacs got taken out in a couple of fights. So he played extremely well, I played extremely poorly. Overall, I made a really bad decision. That cost me the game, that made the game feel really icky. So I was pretty angry after the game. I was like, Protoss. And I go and watch the replay and I see my opponent execute a strategy nearly perfectly, and I execute my own strategy poorly. Counterattacked when there's no reason to do that. I didn't have the medevac count. What's he going to do? Well, his blink stalkers come in, he kills off a tech lab, maybe a barracks, supply depot. I still have this bunker, my army comes up here, bends him off, maybe he comes around. But I would have been able to defend his attack, so... Overall, I made a bad decision in that game. If my opponent played even better, he had a lot of money he could have spent. So, fairly simple and straightforward. Alright, guys. So, that wraps up looking at replays. If you have any questions or comments, hey, just throw them in the comments section below. If you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter or Team Liquid. Team Liquid, I answer pretty much everything. I'm easy to find there. There's a big thread on the Bronze Masters series. You can message me there. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, hey, go ahead. It's @FilterStarcraft. There's always a link in the description for the video. If you do enjoy my videos, as always, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Always good things when people do that. So, the number one thing I want to say about the subscription services, whenever I launch a new video, you get emailed about it, you get to hear about it, makes your life a lot easier to find it. The other thing that makes the subscription service so good, and this is the reason you see me subscribe to people, is because if I like somebody's content and I want to watch it pretty much every time it comes out, I go to YouTube every single day, right? Every single day I go to YouTube. Not necessarily always for my own channel, but every day I'm going to YouTube. And when I have somebody subscribed, I can actually see a big list of all their content when they put it up. So it makes it really easy to watch their stuff and not have to worry about checking my email for when their stuff comes out. I should disable all that, but whatever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this particular episode. Again, the first part is what's really important. Just make sure you're not being super complex and you're looking at, well, this 100 minerals didn't go here when it should have gone here. Just make sure you're checking on your real basic stuff, making sure your macro is on point, making sure you control the engagements properly and you make the right decisions. If you do poor decision making, or you have bad engagements, the first game was a great example of a bad engagement, then you're going to lose some games that you probably should have won and it's not going to feel all that good. Anyway guys, this is Filter Starcraft. I will see you guys next time, and have a good one.